Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would do essentially a story time about my trip to Alaska. I went to Kotzebue, Alaska. It is a itty bitty island in the middle of the ocean, and it is awesome. So it is a very, very small, very cultured place, and I really got to try a lot of things that I've never done before, and that to me was awesome. I was able to. All right, so my mom was at work for a lot of these days. I took off her vacation. I just took my vacation and I just decided to go up there, spend my time with her during her free time, and then while she was at work, I was just gonna go on my own adventures. So one of the days I was just walking around and I literally had no idea what to do. I was just walking around because I didn't know anyone yet and things like that. So I walked up to this wall for the water, the water wall. I don't remember what it was called. But I'm walking around and I look over the edge and there's actually people on the edge ice fishing. And I was like, yo, that is really cool. The whole time I had been there, I hadn't seen anyone ice fishing yet. And so I thought it was really cool when I saw them doing it. They literally had a hole this big, no bigger than my head, at the max. And they were fishing for tomcod and smelt. They were fishing for tomcod and smelt. They're down there fishing. There's these two, and honestly, it's so cold. I forgot to remind you, this is the dead of winter. It's so cold that everyone's just all bundled up in these big down coats and parkas and type things like that. And so I'm looking down there and I'm the person I will approach anyone. I don't really care. I'm really outgoing, I'm really outspoken, and I'm really adventurous, right? And I really like being able to get new opportunity and new experiences. Hang on. This is not sponsored, but this is a really good coffee. Anyways, so I'm literally just, these guys, their backs are to me. So it's they can't even see me, but they, there's two guys, and then there's two little kids, these two little kids were fishing. They were just running around catching fish. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. It's if they can do it, obviously I can do it, right? I just kept waiting and staring and waiting for one of them to turn around. And eventually one of them did. And I was just like, hi. And they looked at me who is this lady? She's crazy. And then it was so cold that I couldn't really yell. So I was just can I, what did I say? Can I come watch you? And they were just come on. And I was yay, I just want to watch. I don't even care. I'm just curious. I just want to figure it out. I want to watch, do whatever. I went down there and I watched them for a little bit. I was just asking them questions, just hanging out, just, whatever. And one of the guys, he was I'm gonna go get an extra layer. I'm getting, really cold. It got a little bit colder. And I was okay, cool. Okay. But then he was just do you want to try fishing? And I was what? Of course. I want to try it. Heck yeah. What do I do? And so he showed me these certain hand movements to try and do to attract the fish. And right after he had left, I couldn't see him anymore. I caught one fish and I was just so excited. Later that day, I was all right, Mom, look, if we get a broomstick, we cut it up into pieces, and we get these little screw hook things, and then fishing line, we're done. That's all we need. So she thought I was crazy, and I was come on, it'll be fun, it'll be cheap, we'll do this, it'll be good. And so we got our fishing licenses online within minutes. So it didn't even take much at all. And it was only a few dollars anyways. So I was all right, cool. So we're legal, we're good. Let's go do this. So the next day we actually went out and we found someone to dig, re-dig open one of their holes from the day before. Or I think it was actually a couple days, because I think she had work. So we waited for her next day off. And we got the hole redug, and we're out there, my mom, so she doesn't, she's not the type to want to touch the fish. And, I really don't mind. So, I got her all set up, and she, put her, pole in the water, and she caught a fish. And then she was can you take it off? And I was yeah, no problem. So I took it off and everything. But it's like I tried to like walk away to go to the hole that like we dug for me so that I could try and like fish. And before I could even get there, she caught a fish. And I was like, already? Like another one? And she's like, yeah, like I didn't even do anything. I just put it in the water. And I was like, okay, cool. So for a good minute, every time I would try to walk away, she would catch a fish. So I was like, okay, like you're having all the fun here. Like I want to have some fun too. So she caught so many fish and we're just sitting here like, what's going on? And so literally like plopped the hook into the hole. Within like a single second, she had another fish on there. And these were mainly tomcods. We were like, this day we only caught tomcod. And this is, I'll put a picture like in the video somewhere right here or something. But tomcod is a fish that the people here, they eat it raw and frozen. And they do the same with smelt, I think. But we didn't know how to eat it. So we just kept like piling up the fish. And I think after like the first day, like we caught like combined, I think we caught like 50 something fish. And we're just sitting here like, because you pull them out of the water and then you take them off the hook and then they're sitting there. And then, but they freeze before like you can get them back in the water. So, because it's so cold. So there are some people walking by and I asked like, hey, like we caught too many fish. Do you want them? And she was like, yeah, like my mom and dad would love some. And so I literally gave her half of the fish. And I was like, you know, like as long as I eat it, like I'm happy, you know, that's cool, awesome. And then I was like, okay, now we need to find someone else that, you know, can take these fish because we don't know how to eat them. And so I ended up finding someone else that, you know, was really happy to have the fish. And I was like, okay, cool. So that's totally awesome. And so we fed multiple families that day. And it was just like, cool. And it was just because we were having some fun. So I got to go fishing a couple more times. I ended up running into the gentleman that I saw out, you know, fishing before. And I told him all about it. And he was like, oh, wow. And it's like, well, what did you do with the fish? And I said, I gave, you know, our fish away to a couple different families. And he asked, well, did you keep any? And I said, no, I didn't. You know, I didn't really know what to do with it. And he said, wow, like with our culture, it's really important to not keep anything from your first catch. And I was like, that's kind of cool. Like, okay. But then he started like going in depth. He said, if you don't keep anything from your first catch of the season, then, and you give it away, you have to give it away. You can't sell it. You have to give it away. You have to give it out of the kindness of your heart. Then the fish will thank you and like give themselves to you later in the season. And I was like, wow, like, you know, like that's a really cool concept. I loved it. And, you know, not mistakenly, we just didn't know what to do with the fish. And honestly, I have this thing where I can't really eat something that I knew when it was alive. So it worked out for me anyways. So the next couple of days, I would go fishing. And I actually went with him. And we just kept catching fish after fish after fish after fish. And I was like, wow, like, this is really cool. Like, you know, along with the, you know, the cultural story and the history of, you know, their hunting season and things like that. I was like, this is really awesome. Like, I must have, you know, done something really good to be able to keep catching fish after fish like this. Because it was literally, I just plop it in, pull it out, plop it in, pull it out. It was funny, though, because the first time I had gone with my mom, I wasn't really able to catch anything until, like, towards the end where she was, like, she kind of noticed that I wasn't catching anything. She was like, do you want to go try? I'll start walking to you with my hook so you can take it off. So we did that, and I was just catching them one after another. And it even got to a point where she would bring it to me, but then I still hadn't caught anything. So I was like, here, I'll hold my stick. And then I would take the fish off of her line. And then as she's holding my stick, she actually just kept fishing with my stick. So we just kept trading sticks, and then she was just catching so many. And I was just like, this is really cool. This is really fun. So that was definitely an experience. Like, going ice fishing, definitely an experience. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. It was very cost effective in terms of, you know, it wasn't very expensive to have to get into it. And then on top of that, we were helping to feed the other people in the local community. It was truly awesome. Anyways, I'm going to wrap up the story time. I might talk about Alaska at a future point. But if you have questions about my trip and my experience, please let me know. Ask them in the comments or even message me on Instagram or on Facebook, and I'll get back to you with those answers in the next video, or I'll just answer you right there. But yeah, I had an amazing experience, and if you ever plan on going to Alaska, try and do these things. Anyways, thank you so much for watching my video. Make sure to give it a good thumbs up, and make sure to subscribe to my channel for more content.